Okay, I don't normally live on things. I like to have time to ponder my words, but this is an extraordinary situation. Uh, there's going to be a lot of people that think, "Oh, that fucking bum! Why didn't he work? Why didn't you just get a job?" Well, we'll address that later. But anyway, we came to this Project Room Key site on June 2nd of 2020 because I had my dog Doofy, who we both love very much, and he was dying, and we knew this, and we wanted to give him a comfortable place to do it in. So I threatened Lhasa with media exposure at the time to give us a room. Who is it?
No.
No, what? What do you want? Where we're going after this,
It's
what?
none of your business.
No, we've already discussed this, and I don't want to talk with anybody really right now. Yeah, no, I don't think so. Okay, bye.
Horse and pony show is what it is. How can they screw you?
Well, I'm not sorry that I got that on
Nope.
record. That happens at least once an hour. So anyway, we get to this site, this Project Room Key site. Doofus lasts for a lot longer than we thought, another 6-7 months. And when he finally dies, we were grief-stricken beyond words. So and I'm an asshole. Let's get that straight.
Yeah,
Tracy's a bitch. I'm an asshole. But we're not unreasonable.
and we're not bad.
So we get into this place, and then we were going to leave about March or April, and then they kind of like enticed us into staying because they were trying to find a housing voucher. They were going to see and we were going to see what they had to offer. Now, mind you, not only the pandemic, but we were homeless, and yeah, we're old, but we have worked all our lives, and I didn't come here for the reason of, hey, I just want a free handout. Everything that we've gotten here, we never asked for any of it. All I did was ask for a room. That's it. And I was glad that Doofus got to die in air conditioning, and Tracy's been able to have a shower and a bed. And because of the fact that I got something out of it too, that's great, but it's a bonus. It wasn't necessary. But with that in mind, this place has been ran by Los Angeles Family Housing under contract from LA Housing's Authority. Yes, Trace,
Sorry.
could you fucking let me do it? It's FEMA funded, is what she's saying. My wife, who can't not side bust a conversation of any kind, including video, I'm having a conversation with myself right now. She's got to interject because you don't want yourself on screen to not know what the self is saying. Anyway, the bottom line is they were promising a partial payment of housing in order to do something about their homeless problem, which they should have, because we got wrongfully evicted out of our house in North Hollywood anyway. So, and then hounded by West Valley cops for a couple of years, where they took a couple cars without giving us a piece of paperwork back, hounded us, chased us around, wanting to throw our personal possessions away in the trash. Like, you're not allowed to have anything of any value. Meanwhile, when we were over in Reseda, living on the sidewalk next to a dollar store, they didn't mind having the crazy homeless out there with islands of shopping carts of a dead cat, a tuna fish sandwich, an old newspaper, a pile of crap, bottle, who knows. This one chick we called Wig Woman, she had them all over the place. And when she would get distressed or distorted, she would just start these obscene, profane tirades in the middle of the street and throw carts of shit at passing cars. with the cops watching from just feet away and saying, "Don't fuck with her," because they wanted to have a loony on the face of homelessness. That way they could portray everybody as being drug addicted or crazy. Well, I'll say this. They might have a point about the current homeless population, but that's what you get when you treat people like fucking dirt. Either way, we get in this place after much hullabaloo, and Doof dies in January. We're grief stricken. They're trying to get us vouchers. This one dude, he's a manager here, Lance, he's been here. He has had a boner for Tracy and I ever since we got here for over a year. And I've done everything I can to try to come to some sort of meeting of the minds with this dude. I don't care what color he is, but he's a black dude. But there's no talking to him. They told everybody and gave out notices the other week that they are going to be closing this site on the 29th of this month, which is kind of a bullshit fucking date. Like it's either the 1st or 31st. You know what I mean? But we didn't even argue that. And they asked us to, what kind of living would you be willing to go to? We told them we're not going into shared housing, shelters, any kind of like tiny villages, tiny homes, none of that bullshit. Everybody's vacating Los Angeles. Find us a place. And I don't mean forever, because I like working. I like making money. It give me a stable moment where I don't have to worry about fucking jerks. I'll go get a righteous job or make my own righteous job and get some money. And then I won't have to be on the public coffers. I have always said that wherever I've gone during our entire homelessness. Well, if someone's got some work, I'll take it. And I mean that. So when you look at this video and you start thinking, what a fucking lazy bum, realize this. I would be working if anybody in all of Los Angeles would pay me to do some work. I'm not going to work for free. That's fucking stupid. But nobody will. And I've asked everybody and had signs and done everything I could to find work. Be that as it may, they started this thing about getting out on the 29th. And after 14 months, then they start these room checks twice a day, where they send their little staff up and they knock on the door. And then if somebody doesn't answer, they just walk in with their key. We've been complaining about this. They, yesterday, Tracy had, because of all these things, her IBS has gotten increasingly worse. The night before, all this was stressing her out to the point where she couldn't get any sleep. And when she can't sleep, I can barely sleep. So we're both crashed out at noon because she didn't even get to sleep till like 8 a.m. The body needs sleep. We're sleeping. All of a sudden, some cop style knock. Bam, 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 bam. Room check. And I go, who is it? And the guy, Lance. Now, if he'd have knocked on any other door on this floor like that, we would have heard it. He didn't. He goes, I go away. We're sleeping. And he opens the door and goes, I'm coming in, to that immediately afterwards. I don't care what context you are. That cannot be legal or right for anybody to walk in on a sleeping couple. In convict terms, that's called burglary, felony burglary. They think that they have the right to do this and then rummage through people's shit, remove what they want without saying anything. I mean, these people are fucking deluded. Well, so the guy does this, and then I yelled at him. Got up, ran up to the door, and ran out the door just a little bit, yelled at the guy in his face. I don't think I even uttered an intelligible word. I was like, nah, nah, nah. I had just woken up. Well, he turns to me and he walks away, and then he goes, you will be exited today. Well, for one thing, all that faggot ass fucking language they got with exited. It's a typical liberal left Democrat fucking tactic to try to rename something into some passive, generic, gender neutral fucking pussy term that doesn't mean anything, really. It's like an oxymoron in its own right in that context. Exited? What the fuck does exited mean? You're gonna like conduct a process whereupon I walk through this passageway and you are exited. In other words, you're kicking me out. Okay. He makes up this story that I have threatened him to cut people. Not even I didn't threaten. He even tells him that I didn't threaten him specifically, but that I was going to cut people, stab people. And I go, that's fucking nonsense and ludicrous. Before too long, so I call up the local police station and I talk to the desk officer, and he tells me, do they have an eviction notice in their hand? No. And I started to explain. He goes, you're not hearing me. Do they have an eviction notice? I said, no. He goes, well, then you just nod your head, say, okay, and then close the door and let them do whatever the fuck. Who cares what they think? I said, yeah, you got a point. Well, not too long after that phone call, we get a visit from the Department of Mental Health, a couple of people. They had sent them there to determine whether, and now I've read what these people are supposed to be doing, to find whether a suspect is capable of hurting himself or others or not. Well, at that point, I didn't know I was a suspect. So I got a little bit angry, and then I was kind of like just talking to them, then I was playing with them a little bit, and they ended up going down to the office after not being able to make some quick categorization, of my psyche. And I said, well, if you're going down there and you want to see whether or not who's credible, why don't you ask that guy some questions? You don't even have to make it in like a question format. Just, casually say, hey, and see what he has to say and put that against what you know. Well, they go, yeah, okay. And these people were not, the woman wasn't super aggressive. The guy was. They go down to the office and then they come back like 20, 25 minutes later. And now he is very supplicating and she is the same, but very gracious. And they were very apologetic and proper and gave us a card and all this. Well, so apparently I didn't fit their crazy psyche valve thing, but the whole turnabout face of their attitude leads me to believe that they did talk to dude and found him to be a fucking nutcase, this guy Lance. So after Lance shows up, then they come by with their LA Family Housing letterhead official notifications and exit notice. And they were asking me to leave. I go, how about this? I didn't do it, so no. I don't think they have that response from people very much. Why people don't stick up for themselves, I don't know. I said no. And then not too long after that, here comes two police from the local station. And they are acting as if they're like sort of on my side and all. But the one cop is saying, well, look, we got these options. We could either take you to Topanga Station and cite you and then release you, which I don't believe, or you leave willingly, or you just pretend like you're leaving with a bag for a couple hours and then come back. And I go, okay, well, I knew that getting arrested was not for something that I didn't do and wasn't a crime. It was not going to be a sound plan because I'd be stuck in jail. So I do leave, and then I go get food, and I talk to this other dude, and I'm kicking back for a minute, and then I come back, and they get drove. They see the car, they call more cops. But I had gone down to that Topanga police station looking for police. I talked to one cop who told me, here's a number to call. Go back to your room and call that number when you get there. I get over to the gas station on the corner. I think, these guys telling me to do that it's not entirely a sound plan. I'd rather have protection beforehand. So I call 911, finally get a hold of this non-emergency number, talk to them, tell them, and they say, go back to the room and call this number and we will send 2 officers. So I do, and then I called, and then they said they're on their way and they'll talk to those people about this and straighten it all out. Well, after we eat the food that I brought, after that, then we wait for a little bit, and then here comes 2 more police officers. I'm sitting outside in my chair by then with all the relevant paperwork showing that this thing about intrusive room checks is brand new and bullshit. The non-official closing notice, all their paperwork, and the civil code for how transitional housing residents, what rights they do have. Now, mind you, I had called these people for me, and they had told me to go to the room. Well, these guys come up, and they talk to them, and then they come up and they tell me, well, look, you being here, now you're trespassing, even though 2 different police officers had told me to be there. And now the deal with Tracy being able to stay is off the table because we're going to have to arrest both of you unless you leave immediately. No time to get any of my shit. And they give me this little notice that says, you will be provided your items, as if they'll come and graciously pack my shit up and give it to me, which is what they like to do anyway. We've been watching people steal out of here from people for a long time because homeless people don't have anybody really in their fucking court. Well, finally, these guys are like, they go back and forth. I show them the code. They're like, okay, well, they go back, talk to them. Then they come back up and they're like, sorry. Both sets of cops that visited yesterday, they show me papers from LA Family Housing with the LA Family Housing letterhead. And apparently it's their rules. And they go, look, these are their rules. We got to do those. I go, what are you talking about? You got to follow the law. You're policemen. You're law enforcement, not LA Family Housing lackeys. And finally, it gets to where they're ready to fucking either kick me out or arrest me in the middle of the night last night. I said, I need to talk to your supervisor. They send a supervisor. They call him, and then they talk to him. He shows up. They talk to him. They come back, and they're like, we're sorry. We didn't know. It's a good thing we talked to somebody who's got more years of experience, because he said, let the civil courts handle it, and you're welcome to stay here, and we're leaving. And we'll go talk to them. I go, well, what about the harassment? He goes, well, if they do, here's my card and call us. I'm going to give the cops the benefit of the doubt and say that I think that, well, for one thing, LA Family Housing is extremely convincing because it's like talking to a cult member. When you talk to them, they believe, and so everything they say, they believe. They believe in what they say, even though it's totally fucking bullshit. And so they come off convincing as if, well, if you think they're speaking to a rational person and they believe this, then I guess, and they, if I wasn't such a suspicious, bitter old curmudgeon, I could have fallen for some of their lies too. Well, they also are not the encyclopedias of every arcane little weird law there is, especially when it comes to civil code. The guy that was the supervisor must have had more years and probably ran into something similar. I stayed. But one of the things that I didn't realize until this morning, Tracy shows me an email she got from someone from the Los Angeles County Development Agency. And when it came to the vouchers, we had signed papers for those 2-3 weeks ago, and we're waiting. We've been waiting for like 5 months. And we were asking them, where's the voucher? Because this thing with the room checks is really, really, really pissing me off. Because now one of us is held hostage in this room just so we can watch our possessions the entire time. What's the difference between being on the street if the walls are going to be as fucking secure as paper? She got this email that said, "Oh, I am somebody, and I'm your new case manager for housing vouchers." And we're like, "What?" Because at the time when they said, "Well, just make it look like you're leaving," and I went parked at the gas station next door. And then they go, "Oh," they came running up to the room as soon as I was out of here. "I got your voucher. I got your voucher." And Tracy was pissed, and she told him, "Fuck off, I ain't answering the door." They saw me by the fence. They came down. They go, "Well, you got to let us see your Social Security card, then we'll continue to process this, even though you're technically kicked out at that point." Well, turns out this woman that sent the email almost before we got the voucher was from it was a notice of debts owed to public housing agencies and uh, what was the other thing? Not fraud or something like that, but
if you got exited,
yeah, and terminations.
yeah.
And what this is
fraud.
is if you have frauded your way into some public housing agency's good graces and they discover it.
After you did.
Yeah, once you've done that and you're in there, then they could lay this bill on you for assessed fiscal damages and prosecute you for a felony fraud.
Because you had been exited, and then I took them out.
And they were doing this because we had both applied for it together, and because when I was supposedly exited, that removed my qualification for public housing assistance, in which case then it would have been fraud on her part, and she would have been stuck with an up to $500,000 bill. We both could be prosecuted. So the bottom line is this. They say they're closing this place on the 29th. I had one of the staff members tell me, I was saying, "Why is he doing this about this charge about stabbing people?" He goes, "I can't wait until the 29th to get 50 people out of here." I said, "So you're just creating problems to find reasons to drive people out?" He goes, "Oh, no. I go, "Then why did you bring it up?" Well, then this turns out this email reveals there's an attachment at the bottom with this bill and all this, and specifically naming me as the terminee, and that I should sign this and give them back they want information and identification from us. Like, what kind of lucid person would fucking do that to themselves anyway? Well, here's the thing. They want to totally ignore California tenant protections, civil rights. They want to steal, theft and fraud, burglary, and they're trying to take people out, stick them. These are people that are supposedly entrusted with helping the homeless find the ability to reassimilate into society successfully.
And permanent housing.
And yet, from what I can tell, they're more than willing, for probably monetary gains, to saddle us with lifelong debt and more judicial injury.
And more trauma.
Now, I'm 62. She's 61. I got ridiculous blood pressure. She's got some breathing issues and other stuff, IBS. It's the peak heat of the summer. It's like 100 or more every day here in the valley with high humidity. And it's not even the worst summer. This is a fairly moderate summer. And we're stuck. We're just about broke now just because LA, you can't even do a damn thing without spending too fucking much money. Everything is ridiculous. Eating, just... So this thing yesterday had nothing to do with someone threatening somebody. This guy was willing to have me put in jail, have my credit and finances damaged forever, so that they could vacate everybody. They could make some money off that. Also, get everybody out of the place where they can renovate the hotel for private purposes, and yet bill. And they get a triple dip. They stick their hands in the coffers, the state, the whole thing. Everybody pays, and FEMA, and the residents there. Waiting for the sirens to pass. And they get through the light, and all of a sudden there's no emergency.
Every day.
I really should not be complaining. We both know that here in liberal la la land, leftistville, that there's going to be, everything is going to be upside down, topsy-turvy. Now, it's like a mirror. Not only is everything in reverse, it's upside down too. Fuck.
They set us up to try to get.
And so the bottom line is that they are perpetrating this bureaucratic fraud and theft and the malicious prosecution in order to line their own pockets. And these are the very people that are supposed to be helping us, not saddling us with fucking lifelong debt and harassment. And then you just heard some of the harassment that was on there. That's what they do. The cops told them, stop fucking with them, and they still fucking do it. They still believe that they could walk into somebody's room without any consequence. Right before they go home to their little fucking hovel and someone walks into their room and then they freak out and call the police. I mean, how fucking retarded is that? So it comes down to, once again, Tracy and I might be wallowing in the dirt, but we are still light years ahead in the moral makeup than just about every government official from local to federal and everybody in between that's sucking off that teat. We would never do, for all the things that we've done wrong, never do something like that to somebody. That is fucking evil shit. It's LA Family Housing. Every time the cops were around taking our cars, taking our shit, they were always there, willing participants to keep the homeless fucking in line. Hey, motherfuckers, check this out. You created a situation, a state, and a lifestyle to where it propagates homelessness. And now you're going to have to deal with it. I am the tip of the iceberg, and this shit's going to be setting precedents for a long time to come. I had a policeman call me this morning who was versed in this, and he said, look, I don't agree with it either. He goes, I got some of those voicemails that your wife left, but I wasn't there working last night, but I got them now, and I'm on this, and here's what's happening. So, and this is a guy I had talked to before. Policemen, like all others, there's a few that are decent and that know what they're doing. Very few, but they are there. And the way that we know this is in the vast sea of contact that we've had with police. The reason I know there are very few good and decent ones that know what they're talking about is that they stand out in stark contrast to the rest of them. And this fucking reversal that two police did last night with putting their gloves on, getting ready to put hands on me and arrest me for what other police had told me to do, and then possibly Tracy, and then come back up and apologize for not knowing the law correctly and being grateful that, the senior did. Like, if that's the case, if you're telling me law enforcement in Los Angeles County is unaware of laws, then either one, fire the ignorant motherfuckers, or two, even after they're hired, start running ongoing law update classes or something, because not only do the laws change and are fluid, some are abandoned, there's new ones coming up. They should be like lawyers or doctors or whatever, constantly studying their craft. How are these people that are going to make real world effects on someone like myself? The difference between where I'm at right now and where I would be, given the worst cops, is night and day. Over what? Over me staying in the room that they let me stay in and not wanting someone to fucking coming in while I am sleeping is my worst fear realized. Who the fuck do these people think they are? And they kicking people out. No, you gotta leave immediately or go to jail and your possessions will get them to you. Oh, fuck you, motherfuckers. You don't get to touch my shit, ever. You want to arrest me? You better make sure you got guns because I'm taking my shit. If I haven't done nothing wrong, me and my shit, my wife and her shit are leaving at worst case scenario. But we're taking our stuff and you're not fucking putting your dirty dick grabbers on it. So fucking fuck you, LA Family Housing, you piece of shit.
The mayor.
Oh, yeah, the mayor, the city council, Mike Bonin, all these other fucking people. Fuck them. They're just, this city is biblical. Yeah. It is Sodom and Gomorrah. It is the most decadent, fucking scumbaggy, low moral piece of shit place right in the belly of the beast. We are Noah in the whale. So I mainly made this thing because even though they finally come back and said we could stay, we anticipate and are undoubtedly, and to me it's certain, that there will be more issues. You heard that knock. This was after that. They still feel like they're empowered to do this. So there will be something else. And I wanted to get this documented so that when you find out that I've been arrested for standing up for my own fucking rights, that this has already been told you. Right? Okay. On that note, sayonara. Thanks.
Can you even post that?